Order up! Welcome to a brand new episode of the Order Up Podcast. Thank you for listening in. I am Taryn Williams. You can find the Order Up Podcast on wherever you may currently listen to your podcast. Some places I'm still working on, so if you can't find it on some places, it might be somewhere else. But I digress. So on this brand new episode of the Order Up Podcast, I want to talk about Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 3 just dropped, I believe it was April 3rd, I believe. So not that long ago. It's still pretty fresh in everyone's mind. I actually didn't play Resident Evil 3 because honestly, I've been scared of survival horror games since 1998 when RE2 came out. So yeah, I'm just not a big survival horror fan, but I was watching a playthrough of it to kind of give my impressions of the game, see how it was, see how it compared to RE2 Remake, which just released last year. And I was getting some vibes from the playthrough that I really do agree with because it just felt like RE3 Remake was kind of maybe a shell of RE2, if you will. It seemed to be very much more action oriented than the traditional kind of RE style of survival horror. Like a big thing of Resident Evil games was you have an ink ribbon, and you had like a limited amount of ink ribbons. The ink ribbon was used to save. It only had like a limited amount of ink ribbons. So if you didn't have an ink ribbon, we got to a typewriter, which was the kind of the save the save point of RE games was a typewriter. If you didn't have an ink ribbon for a typewriter, you couldn't save. So it created this like extra tension where you couldn't just save wherever you wanted. And back in during the early PlayStation games, back in 1990, late 90s when the PlayStation 1 existed, autosave wasn't a thing. Like you had to have a save point. So RE took it a step further where they added ink ribbons. So you needed an ink ribbon to go to save at a typewriter. So RE2 remake, kind of kept that alive. Where I think the hardcore version of the game had ink ribbons. The normal difficulty didn't. But in RE3 remake, they don't have ink ribbons at all, which is really weird. Which is okay. It's like, oh, so you can save wherever you want. There's an auto save that happens periodically, and then you can save wherever you want. Which is like, oh, okay, that's different. But not just that, RE3 has a ton of typewriters. Like you go to an area, maybe 5 minutes later, there's another typewriter. You go through a cutscene, walk a short distance, there's a save room, there's another typewriter. And they seem like instead of them being scattered throughout the game, they're very clustered together. You get typewriter after typewriter after typewriter after typewriter after typewriter. You look left, you can save. You look right, you can save. A brief cinematic cutscene, you can save. So it seems like they really wanted to focus you more on killing zombies instead of like surviving them and kind of thinking your way through it, which I thought was kind of interesting because RE was kind of built off of more of that survival thing. Okay, that's one thing I noticed. Nemesis in RE3, I haven't finished watching the playthrough all the way, but I had to kind of have a big enough sample size where I got almost close to the end. That Nemesis does feel like kind of an afterthought, which kind of sucks because Nemesis is such a big. I mean, before it was called RE3 Nemesis, and Nemesis was a big part of the game. Like Mr. X in the RE2 remake seemed kind of roguelike, where there were certain scenes where he would pop up, but then there were times where you just will walk around the police station and he'll bust out a door, or you happen to turn his corner and he's right there, or he'll be behind you. And Mr. X had this really interesting kind of roguelike mentality where actually you can actually see his pathing, like his movements from the game. Like if you walk certain directions, if you were like up high, you can actually see him move around and try to like corner you and try to figure out where you're going so he can go the right way. Really interesting. Nemesis doesn't really seem to have that. He seems more linear. Like he's more A to B. Okay, I'm gonna pop up here. You do this. Okay, I'm gone. And then like you couldn't see him. You could not see Nemesis for long periods of time. Mr. X, you had no idea where he might pop up, and sometimes you can actually hear him outside of save rooms and outside of certain doors. You could hear him walking around. So Mr. X was this really cool, terrifying threat in RE2 remake. But RE3 remake, Nemesis is kind of like the cherry on top. He's kind of like powdered sugar. You don't really need it, but you're happy to have it because it's there. That's how Nemesis feels. Like he feels kind of like they didn't really give him a lot of character in the game. He just kind of shows, does some stuff, and he kind of leaves. He's in the cutscene and he dips. Also, a lot of cutscenes. There are a lot of moments in RE3 that I saw that should have been playable. Like they should have just been, even if it's like a quick chase scene. The chase scene is only 15, 20 seconds maybe. You could, like, why not just make that gameplay? I mean, Uncharted does that shit all the time, where you would think it's a cutscene. It's not a cutscene. We have to just keep your hands on the controller. Even RE4 did that back on the GameCube. Where even though there were QTEs and quick time events, and you would think, oh, there's a cutscene. I'll put the game down. I'm gonna put the controller down, and you die because you need to be active. So I'm surprised they didn't add that element in the RE3, or they could just took out the cinematic parts and just made them playable. Just made the chase scenes playable. And Nemesis grabs you, you just have to press the button, or you have to aim and shoot him in the face a couple. Just a quick interaction. It doesn't have to be long. It seemed like they really did streamline RE3, and it's funny because so I was watching. If you've never heard of Maximilian, he's a YouTuber. He has the biggest fighting game channel on YouTube, but he plays other stuff. But the core of his YouTube channel is fighting games, and he was saying, and I was thinking it. He felt burnt out on Resident Evil because RE7 came out a couple of years ago. I think RE7 came out in 2018. I think maybe 2017, 2018. I think is when RE7 came out. And then RE2 remake came out last year, and RE3 remake just came out this year. He was saying he hope it doesn't get an Assassin's Creed mentality, with that crossed my mind. I'm like, shit, are they gonna make Resident Evil every year release? Because Assassin's Creed did that. And I love the Assassin's Creed series. Like, I remember when they first started. I remember they were teasing it. Like, I love, Ubisoft. I love, Jay Raymond, who was the original creative director of Assassin's Creed. The Assassin's Creed franchise started on her back. Like, she was the original one. She's moved on to some other positions now. And it was kind of like the spiritual successor to the Prince of Persia trilogy that was on, GameCube and PlayStation 2. So it was kind of like the spiritual successor to that. But what made Assassin's Creed so tiring? It came out every single year. Why? No one really. I mean, they were trying to cash out, which I'm not. I would never be mad at anybody for securing the bag, but dude, like every single year, an Assassin's Creed game, like Madden coming out every year was already, was already a thing. And they got Assassin's Creed coming out every year. You got Call of Duty's coming out every year. It's like, fuck, I'm kind of tired. So I hope and I pray Capcom doesn't have RE coming out every single year. I think it's doing well. It is like a graphical, like it looks great, but there are like some bugs in it. You could tell like maybe they sped it up a little too much to try to cash in on this new Resident Evil craze that was in the market. But no, not really. I mean, if you think if RE3 remake came out next year, I'm pretty sure it will probably do the same amount. It'll probably be better because you won't, there'll be a little gap in between games. But yeah, I just really do hope that RE doesn't go through the whole we're gonna drop one every single year. I haven't even seen gameplay from Resident Evil Resistance yet, which is the multiplayer that's attached to RE3. So I might check out some of that. But I just wanted to say, like, RE3, it was it looks pretty fun. It's more action oriented, but it seems like it lost a little bit of its soul. Kind of the Resident Evil vibe and the feeling, and just kind of what makes Resident Evil Resident Evil. It seems like Resident Evil 3 is kind of this hybrid between RE2 and like Resident Evil, like RE2 remake and RE5. Like, it was this weird balance. But I don't know, this is my opinion, this is my thoughts on it. RE3 remake. Final Fantasy 7 remake is coming out very soon. Actually, at the time I'm recording this podcast, it comes out this Thursday, Friday ish. So yeah, it comes out. Well, I'm dating this podcast a little bit, but it comes out really soon. It comes out the time we're recording this podcast. It comes out this Thursday, Friday ish, which is gonna be insane. Like, I'm not sure if I'm gonna personally get it because I'm trying to save some money. I'm trying to do a bunch of other stuff too, so I might not get around to playing it. But I'll definitely end up watching a playthrough of it just to see how it improved and just some of the things like that. But I just really hope Capcom doesn't make Resident Evil a yearly release because that's gonna be tiring. It's gonna bog it down. It's gonna really. So Resident Evil 8, I think it's on the horizon. They're working on that, probably behind closed doors. So hopefully Resident Evil 8 just does some crazy shit and kind of brings Resident Evil back to where it was. But thank you so much for listening to this brand new episode of the Order of Podcast. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast, the YouTube channel, the Twitch channel, whatever content of mine you enjoy, you like it and you share it. I greatly appreciate it. I hope you're all staying safe, during this crazy time, during this pandemic that's happening in the world right now. But stay safe, Stay positive. Also remember to smile and laugh and have some fun. Like, I know it's crazy and it was scary. It's very uncertain times, but positively and faith can get us through everything. So just keep that in mind. That's my little PSA for this podcast. Again, thank you so much for checking out the Order of Podcast. Again, I am Taryn Williams. You can find me across the board on all the socials except for Snapchat. I don't have a Snapchat, but Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course YouTube. And of course, check out the website www.SlicingDicingGaming.com for all things Digital Chef. And there's also a merchandise section where you can check out some merchandise. No one's spending money right now, but we get some money. If you want to get a shirt or a hoodie, definitely appreciate it. Always and forever, slicing, dicing, gaming. Not just a motto, it's a lifestyle. I'll see you next video.